All right, is the thing on? I think so. Okay, here we go. Yep, there it is live. Okay, what's up? What's up? What's up? Welcome to a very special live episode, number 17 of Domiciled, the podcast that explores the subculture of truck drivers as well as logistics professionals, bringing their stories to the masses. I'm your host, Scott Cleary. Now, before I kick it off with my guest host and good buddy, I got to go over a couple things first. I'm going to throw it over to some love to Purple Squirrel. So Purple Squirrel represents freight agents. Again, shout out Chris Jolly for the overlay because God knows I can't do it. Represents freight agents, freight brokerages, and freight forwarding companies. If you'd like to learn more, reduce your liability, and grow your career, you should have a chat with the Ryans over at Purple Squirrel about becoming an independent agent. What they do is they represent multiple broker and forwarding companies, allowing them to provide you with several career offers. You have options. Let them advocate on their behalf. So their website is below. Follow that intake form. That's in the first comment of the comment section on YouTube. When I repost it, I'll throw it in there as well. But anyway, follow the intake form. Today is the first. Nope, I'm rereading the same intro from earlier. But either way, take the next step in your career with Purple Squirrel. So I promise I'm done talking soon. But our next guest was very excited to join tonight, as were we, but he was pulled away last minute for a personal matter. We wish him well with that. Everything's going to be good. That being said, he just may be the heavy haul king after hearing his stories. We just talked for the first time yesterday. Ryan Smith actually sent him my way. Shout out Ryan Smith. He said, you got to talk to this guy. So we did. But we decided to run a live epi tonight, and we are going to reschedule soon. So this guy's name is Ronnie Howard. This absolute asphalt legend has just been tearing up pavement since 92, 93 as a heavy haul driver. And he told me some wild stories, again, just yesterday, about how he got his first heavy haul gig. Something about the owner showing him a dismantled truck. If you build it, they will come / you're hired, et cetera, et cetera. But I digress. When we get him back on, he will tell the real story. Other topics we'll chop up will be his awesome friend and, dare I say, possibly a mentor, Todd Harris. I hope you're hanging with us tonight. Shout out, Todd. Great to connect with you on LinkedIn. Driving safely around semis as a four-wheeler, I can't agree more. The mental and physical challenges he tackles, the craziest thing he's ever moved, his craziest run, and a lot more. So, as you can all see, my guest host needs no introduction to any of the humans tuning in tonight, but I'll let him say his piece anyway. Nick the Quick, welcome to the pod. What's going on, my man? How we doing?
What's up? You know what? Before we even get into me, I also want to plug these guys over at Purple Squirrel. I've gotten to know them quite well, especially Ryan Collier over the last couple of months. And I love what they're doing because if you ask anyone in transportation right now, their best advice in sales is to niche down, niche down, niche down. And you know, because you used to work for me, that I was all about finding that smallest prospect list. So it only makes sense to do so from a recruiting standpoint. And in that model, all the work is up front. It's a slow process because it's about finding the right person for the right opportunity. And so I like what they're doing a lot. What's up, Shammy? What's up, John?
We got John too. John's a big fan of the show. Love him. Shimmy's been showing us some love lately too. So nice dress also. So we'll throw you some extra love. Appreciate you swinging by.
If anyone other than them are watching, Nick Klingensmith, I'm a former logistics, sales, and leadership professional for just about 20 years. And I am a 4-time cancer survivor, type 1 diabetic, recovering alcoholic. I have 7 herniated discs, nerve damage, sleep apnea, almost died from meningitis. Terrorists once put a nerve gas bomb threat on my airplane. And in the last 8 years, true story, not relevant, but true. And in the last 8 years, I've completed 107 Spartan races, 6 major marathons, and about 100 other obstacle course races and sufferfests. Literally 4 years ago, I wrote a book called Through the Fire, which is the story I just told you. And at that point, I just knew I had something more to do and more to give. And about a year ago, I got out of the corporate gig and became a speaker and a coach. And here we are. Oh, also, Nick the Quick is what his dad used to, what Scott's dad used to call me. It was one of the first jobs I ever had, working at where his parents used to own a place called Mrs. Miller's Muffins. And I guess for whatever, a 14-year-old or whatever I was at the time, I mean, I could shuffle around that small little kitchen. And you know what else? It's just a work ethic you just don't see in kids these days. Like the line at Dunkin'
Those
Donuts
darn
would never
kids.
take that long. Like the amount of traffic we pumped out of that little place. So, anyways, that's what Nick the Quick is from, not from anything else.
Yes, no, not well. Yes, definitely not. I've heard. Anyway, perfectly adequate in all stratospheres. No, but that's true. Let's talk about that real quick, because it's almost like everybody should work in the service industry at some point for a lot of reasons, right? And having been in it and grown up in it, and like I'm talking, stand on a milk crate to ring the register because I was too short, and like carding people for cigs and lottery at like 12. And like I'm no badass by any means, but it's just like you have this expectation.
Hold on. Did you have it in your head somewhere that working a register and selling cigarettes, would someone confuse that with you being a badass?
Under the age of 15. Yeah. I have some no.
Make sure we're on the same page. Go on.
True story. I had this cute girl once, or cute to whatever I was at 12. I hope she's well. But she asked for cigarettes. I carded her, and she goes, "Are you even old enough to smoke?" I go, "I'm old enough to work here and card you. So you want the cigarettes?" Something along those lines. So yeah, no, it's but yeah, it's just tough to see it because like, they're so slow.
It's just the standards, man. It's different standards, and not everyone got the same influence that
ass kicking
that we had. I'm grateful for it, but also, I don't know. I was ambitious, young. I wanted more. I knew I could do something more. So, in the absence of anything else, I just worked hard, and that's it. When I didn't know what else to do, I just worked hard, and I just wanted to be better at whatever it was that I was doing. And, that seems to be a pretty good model for life. So let me ask you a question. We haven't talked in like a week. What's the most exciting thing you got going on right now?
So yeah, it's something I get to ride along on the coattails. Actually, that's definitely the win right now. So she can't be watching because she's working her butt off right now. Actually, please don't work your butt off. Please don't. Anyway, she's busy tonight. My girlfriend, Emily, she recently was not only promoted at her company, ConnectWise, but she also was, over 100% again this year. And she's over 100% like all the time. So big all claps to my lady. And she was named the top account director at ConnectWise. And this is a 3,000 person company too. So huge shout out to Emily. And again, she was promoted to management recently. She's been there 13 years. Deserves it. I can't believe how much he deserves it. And we get to go to Mexico on ConnectWise next week. So I just get to be the guy who's there, like here for my girlfriend's awesome, here for the free trip.
Well, for the tech conference that they host in June, Emily,
sorry.
I had some sponsors internally last year, and my story wasn't really something they were looking for, but we're going to try again.
Hey, and now that she's moving up the chain, we're going to be having dinner with her boss. I can work the room, and I know she's not listening, so I can just say anything I want about this with impunity. Tori, can't wait to meet you. Emily says great things about you, so maybe one day we'll be friends. You'll look back and see this, or not, and we'll just have fun in Mexico. But no, what's going on with you? That's my thing. What's cool with you?
Dude, I got a couple things going on right now. I really am I am just loving this. I don't understand people who said, oh my God, January is so long. I'm like, that month went way too quick.
Gone.
And I'll tell you what, it's all mindset, and I'm bringing the fire this year. Next week, I'm going out to Jacksonville. I'm speaking at Sudeth Global, and in April, I'm speaking at the BCS, and was actually on today with Trey and Kevin, and talking about the road to the BCS. And something I talk about, and I think you're going to relate to this because we both came up in 3PL. All right. We both actually kicked around a little bit with finance and tech. All right. But for all intents and purposes, we're sell to office people. And most of my career was actually in sales leadership at some point. So in the 13 months since I have left the logistics industry, I have learned more about the logistics industry than I did the previous 19 years. And a lot of that, and that's just coming from these relationships and getting into these other conversations and shows like yours and shows guys like, like Pedro and Hunter over at the lounge and, Jared and Nate, like at East Carrier Tech. I was even talking to Joe Lynch about that today. Just the variety of information that's available out there. And I think you find the difference. And this is just from the networking I've done, so it's a broad statement, but for the big box brokers, if you will, essentially where we came up for the most part, right? You don't get outside those four walls. And so you're not even exposed to some of the issues like truck parking, for example, which I know Michael Lombard is a big advocate for. That was never something discussed with us. Do you know what I'm saying? What other types of things do you think are so much more relevant that really gets its way to the salesperson or doesn't get its way to the salesperson?
So what are relevant things that don't get to the salesperson who's in that seat? Whoa, it was the interns, those friggin' interns. Sorry, we'll fire them.
The fact that I noticed that is impressive.
Oh, look at John coming in. What a good guy. These two are just
yeah, I mean, speaking though, she's putting out like actual like useful content too, like on the daily. Maybe you should spend a little more time selling, Shimmy, but in the meantime, we appreciate. No, but I'm serious. There's so much good content that if you actually want a career in this business, if you I'm a salesperson. I believe that you don't have to be the expert in your business to be a good salesperson. You should be an expert in the other person's business.
And you shouldn't be an expert. Yeah, you shouldn't be an expert. Yeah.
That said, if you want a career in this business, and I mean a career because look at you right now. You don't work for 3PL. You sell to 3PLs.
Yeah.
I don't even work in this business yet. Where do I spend all my time? Right?
In the freight 3PL. Yeah. You can't get out. You just can't get out.
Well, it's just this too. Freight tech 20 years ago was a calculator. All right. Now it's an industry by itself. All right. With like sub industries. All right. The freight recruiting by itself. Right. Like media, marketing. Maybe I'm going to be the badass motivational speaker. Nick Clansmith, StriveMotivation.com. But like
no free ads.
Because it continues to go like this because the needs and the way that people interact, the shippers, the things, once you invent something and give them the way that you can't take it back, then they build on it and then the needs continue, right? So, and now AI and everything like that, like I'm just saying that there's a lot of way to grow within this business.
So Shimmy brings up a good point. We are in a cult. It's true you are in a cult because you left and like you said, you're still back in it. Partially, it's like the people so it's a good spot.
Oh no, I tried though.
You talked to me about that.
I tried to spend more of my efforts not in logistics.
Yeah, it's like the family you didn't ask for. You just can't stay away. But like they're good people, mostly. So no, I'm with you, and it's once, like you said, once you give them the tech, you can't take it away. But what's amazing to me is I just can't understand how so many people are still doing the same things I was doing with the tech we had back at BG. And that's not a hack at BG. They had their own proprietary TMS. It was awesome. Like we had it for customers. Our in-house team built it to work truckload after it worked LTL purely. So it was good, but it's just the stuff that wasn't available and is available now, so many people still don't have. And it's almost like even though brokerages are really tech forward, fleets tend to be more conservative in learning. It's still hard to get people past like those old school proprietary systems.
Well, something you and I talked about before when we were talking about like a differentiator for Revenova, and one of the things I kept plugging you to plug was about ease of implementation, ease of adoption.
Right.
That's the X factor. Keith Farnsworth was on, who was he talking about this with? Was it, it was on the lounge I believe it was eCarrier Check. Yeah, we were watching it together. Yeah. And I had asked him a question about common carriers keeping up with technology. And he was talking about sort of the old guard founders, and they view themselves as trucking companies where him and his company view themselves as a technology company. Well, that's where a lot of that difference is. But you have to understand too, from a a mid-sized company perspective, right? Implementing new tech, that's the fear. I mean, you've worked in the company where you worked for a couple companies. That's a wicked shit, by the way. Where we spent a lot of money on tech that we did not utilize.
Yeah,
and it was because we didn't have the right people. Then, we didn't spend the time and money and effort to, and that's where a lot of them, they know they're going to do that. Why don't I upgrade certain systems? I'm like, because I'm not going to use it right.
Or comfort, or you're just comfort. The devil, I hear it all the time.
And the other thing too is, I'm a shiny new tire guy too. If I think, not the shiny new tire, but I want what I want, and I'm willing to put the cart before the horse. And I remember, when it was always frustrating when I was trying to get things done back in the day, but oftentimes it was right. Sometimes I got my way and nothing changed. And I'm like, damn it, this really was a waste. Like, I understand why it's hard for me to get that yes right now. And that's also why if I ever went to implement something, you better believe I was like full force of the law behind it. But that's a big investment, and not a lot of companies have that me person to do that. So I get it. I do, because I know it's so frustrating, because it's like, you got to think about, wow, I spent 8 hours to save 800.
Yeah.
But dude, how many times do we do that in our personal lives?
All the time.
All the time. Yeah. Dude, I'm paying for 2 Microsoft licenses for like 6 months because I have to transfer something over. Something's not right, so I have to call them. All right, like, we're talking about $8 a month right now, but $8 a month is still not worth me taking the time to do it. How stupid is that?
Yeah, I hear you. Well, so unnecessary and redundant subscriptions aside, we're burying the lead a little bit here, because you are going to be speaking soon in Indy at the BCS, right?
Yeah, that's probably one of the most exciting things. I'm looking forward to this year. And a big part of it too is the same thing we're talking about, like, we're back. Maybe.
Yeah. So did you lose me, or did I lose you? You lost me. My internet.
I don't know. I just got squirrelies for a while.
Yeah.
Oh, well, we're back. We're good.
Yeah. So let's say that again. So BCS, it's the most exciting thing you got going on right now, or one of them?
Yes, Andy. I'm super excited about that, and let me tell you why too. Besides the obvious, like, because I'm just excited to speak, but it's a 5-day event.
Ooh.
I'm going for 5 days. All right. I'm probably going to be on, I don't know what I'm slated for. My typical keynote's like 45 minutes. So just assume I'm on stage for 30 to 45 minutes. I don't know what they got, but 5 days to do that. So I'm not going there to speak.
Right.
I'm going there to actually meet all these people, to actually, like, I talk about this before. Actually, I'm quoted in a book that was just released called Sober Up Spartan Style by a Dr. Tara Pipia. I always say her name wrong, so sorry, Tara. But it's about sobriety and embracing, like, the Spartan lifestyle and sport for those in recovery. And that's not really my path, but obviously I spoke to her about that. And wow, I just went so down the rabbit hole. I forget the point.
Talk about sober up like a Spartan.
Yeah, but what led me there? What
led you to that? Oh boy, you're talking about BCS meeting people.
Yes, thank you. I was talking about how social media I see these people in real life.
Okay.
So in Spartan community, I see them sometimes 8 to 10 times a year. Dude, I don't see Strider that many times a year. I don't see Jason that many times a year. Like,
right.
I might see you that many times a year.
Right? You still haven't met Emily. It's been 1.5 years, and it's nobody's fault. It just hasn't happened.
So
crazy.
when you see, you just because you meet and do a lot of communication online, don't make the relationships any less real. And so I'm looking forward to actually get to do that now, because for the
Yeah.
last year and a half, I've just been behind my computer and, getting it all out there as quickly as possible. So that's a big part of it. I want to actually meet people. I want to learn from them and get more, just understand their experiences too. Obviously, it's an opportunity for me to share my story and, put myself out there, but um, I really I'm looking to actually get that human connection.
Yeah. That's
It's
good, man. And
glad you can't be there, Revanova.
I know. It's like they do it by region. And like selfishly, I want to pick the shows I go to because we
Dude,
all have the
I
same
am going
expense
to
level.
absolutely drop the mic on that stage, and you're going to want to be there.
I
We need
know.
a
I wish
lobby.
I
We
was.
need a lobby.
I would. Well, yeah, I would like to. Well, check this, right? If I had $1 for every time somebody asked me if I was going to be at Manifest next week, A, flattered. B, it would be like $7. Like a lot of people want to know what I'm doing next week. But no, and they're like, oh, well, we got West Coast people. I'm like, yeah, but I want to go to that one.
You
And our expense level is the same. What do you like? If you're worried about the emissions, I doubt it. But
remember the series we did though?
yeah, that's why I laughed
Well,
when you said AI.
what conference are you going to be at? That was like
Mhm.
one of the questions that followed up.
Yep, that's why I was laughing every time when you said AI, because every time, like we're selling it now. Like we have a bot called Artemis, um, that scans emails to help build loads and post capacity within our Lane IQ, which is our internal data tool. I won't go down that rabbit hole, but we do have an AI bot now, so I'm selling AI, and all I can think of is when you cut it up to AI, AI, AI. It's like, oh, so horrible. And so yeah, that's what I think about there. But since we spent some time together at Blue Grace, your big reason I came down to Florida, of in the archive shelved under allowed to tell, what are some of your best like BG moments? Like when you just think of it, what are some highlight reels?
Something that just popped into my mind, which is funny, is the time I got punked. I don't know. Were you there for that?
No, you always ask and then you tell me anyway, and it's always a great story. So tell it
So
for the two people listening.
yeah. So Bobby, the CEO, at the time we had a couple people who worked in culture, marketing, recruiting, whatever, who did company event type stuff that we did once a quarter or something like that. And it would always come out in like a company email, "Hey everybody, it's Mardi Gras Day," or something like that. Well,
Yep.
I'm a big Jimmy Buffett fan. And one time an email went out and it was like, "Hey, everybody," it's like a Thursday too. It's like, "It's Margaritaville Day." And I'm like, well, that's weird. Like it was just because usually there was a purpose to it, but I'm like, well, that's cool. And
Yeah.
of course I'm into that, right? But what
Mhm.
was a little bit different this time, two things. Now I was well, hold on, John. Hold on. I was dating I was dating this girl at the time. And as you know, she was not socially involved. Like she prided herself on being antisocial. So when I was like, "Hey, how come you're not going to get dressed up for Margaritaville Day?" She was like, "What are you talking about? I don't even remember seeing the email." So I didn't click,
Yeah.
because when I walked into work, forgot also that I got primed up by Bobby a little bit. He texted me. He's like, "Dude, you better bring your A game," because the girls wanted to do
This is your
something different. And I
thing.
said, "No, we're doing Margaritaville Day." And I was like, "All right, cool." So I'm coconut bra. All right. Like board shorts,
All out.
whatever, t-shirt, like my sombrero, everything, right? Flip flops. And as I start to walk in, and I loved getting into the culture stuff. So
Yeah.
when I saw people not getting dressed up, like when I walked, I was like, "Oh, you guys, whatever." I'm like giving dirty looks to people. I walk in and there's Bobby and Randy Colick like videotaping and laughing their asses off. And I'm like, "Oh, I'm the only one who got the email."
So you wear it all day and carry everything with you
I took
everywhere
off the.
because you
I
have
mean,
to.
after I made my rounds and took my licks, I took off the coconut bra. I think maybe. And besides that, I'm like,
Maybe.
guys, joke's a little on you, because back then we still had a more stricter dress code ish something. I'm like, I'm wearing board
Yeah.
shorts and flip flops today.
I'm
Like,
so happy. Oh, that's funny. Yeah, if they said like black tie and you show up in a tuxedo, that's what would have got you because you would have been pissed. You probably would have gone home to change. I bet you would have because you couldn't embrace
um,
it.
well, I don't have a tux, man. I have like 13 suits, but
True. True.
no, dude, that was like there was always some good stuff like that. I loved there was a lot of good just culture stuff. I mean, my favorite times are you're always going to be in the beginning, right? Before you got to that part. But
that part.
well, it's true for anything, right? When you scale to something, I mean, everything changes and you're just not always going to change with it. That's called life and growth and whatever. But like there was a lot of stuff that we all did together. And I'm not just talking about like the inner circle or people that I was friends with. I'm talking about as a company and culture, like a lot of the hockey games or, just various events. And even before your time, like when it wasn't just that we had a big suite and we could have an informal thing with like 60 people or something. It was like, no, these 10 people won this thing, like, and it was special for a lot of people. And sometimes like he would pick an event that was actually a lot of my job as like a sales leader was to create some of these like contests and fun things. And you may remember our friend Jesse, like, I like to do these quarterly awards for people, like salesperson of the quarter of the year, whatever. And, I forget what the prize was. It was something small, right? $50 gift card, but he won it twice. And I was like, all right, well, here's a $150 gift card, right? Third year in a row, I'm like, first of all, that money, and I'm making up the money, but the money was nothing to him. He was the salesperson of the year. What's the money to him? Right. Yeah. I mean, given he'll take the money, but so I don't think you were here yet. Maybe you were, but
what year? I started at late 2014.
I don't remember the year, but I'll tell you what it was. It must have been 2014 because the prize I gave him was a baseball from the 2013 World Series signed by about 20 of the guys.
I think that sounds familiar. That sounds familiar. Like,
and so that was like just getting to do, stuff like that was like I don't know. Those are some of the good times and good memories of like when you're at a certain size and you can really do individual things like that.
Absolutely, man. I'd say, so you brought up the hockey thing. So I have hockey on the brain. That reminds me of when, actually you were involved in this one in a way. So it's something to do with agents and this and that, like, and who had what, I was just a young sales guy and I was like, just trying to bring in biz. So I talked to this company, who was willing to have us on site, and they were right down the road, and they're a big intermodal company, where, they moved a lot of intermodal. So I brought Rob James with me and Brian. So Brian and Rob James came to the onsite with me, and right before we left, you're like, hey, I heard you talk to so-and-so. I think they belong to such and such agency, like, disengage. And as a trio, we decided, we're like, no, we're going. Because if that's the case, we'll still just represent the company. And you were cool with that. But like, we're still going to go. And I understand that I probably won't get this thing. So the company was cool enough to give us the lightning seats for doing it. They gave me, as the rep, I was given the 2 lightning seats when we had the loge, or back when I was around, we had the loge, and which were the best seats in the house. And I did not think they were going to be. But anyways.
Yeah, you're like, oh, it's up high. No, dude, it's on top.
It's like on top. It was awesome. And like, I thought the one end would be an issue. Like, no, you can see right down, perfect. And you got like TV, waiter, it's dumb. And I ended up, so I went over to Rob James, like, hey, like, you want to go with me? Because he took time out of his day to come, and Brian came too, but like, he's like the peer, right? Yeah. So I offered it to him, and he was like talking about how we could support the intermodal needs, etc. Miss that guy, he's a legend. But both of them are great. Brian's actually got one of my favorite lines ever. But so I went with Rob James, and he definitely didn't think I was going to ask. He assumed I was going to bring the girl I was dating at the time, and which normally would have. But like, this thing happened because he helped. Yeah. So, and it was a work thing, so I had to bring him. Not had to, but like, I was like, this is the right thing to do. Like, and we'll have fun, and he won't expect it because of course he wouldn't, right? We didn't hang out outside of work. So yeah, we had a blast together, and I don't think he'd been to many like NHL games. I just don't think it was his thing, and we had a great time. It was really cool, and Bruins won, so that worked out.
I don't miss working in an office, but I do miss working with people.
Yeah, we had some good ones.
Which is the same thing, because I do miss working in an office, working with people. It's not the same doing it on video. This is good, but at the same time, I'm looking at a computer screen. I'm not looking at you.
Well, I'm 50 minutes away. You can come by.
True. But that brings the other part. It's not that I have to be in my house, although I don't like to leave my dogs. I look at that. I'm like, man, that is 15 minutes to drive each way, 10 minutes to settle in, pack up each way. Like that's an hour in my damn day that I could be doing shit now. And that I know that sounds kind of stupid.
I mean
people
so
do
much to you.
hour commute, but I mean, I don't leave a lot of minutes on the table, and I really don't like leaving my dogs. So, I miss it, but it's like, so what I like the opportunity to work with, I don't even know, man. I don't know. I think it's just something I'm going to have to miss.
John,
dude, I'll tell you one thing I want to do when I get to I'm big on sales process and numbers, and whereas things are going really well, it's not like I just woke up and replaced my income. So,
right.
I'm really focused on the grind right now.
And hats off to you.
Big on process. I'm big on structure. So I want to get to a point where I feel comfortable being like, hey, my 3 o'clock slot is for walking and talking conversations or something like that. Like, you know what I mean? Right now, I really feel like I need to be in my battle station, like getting it done. I'm never going to be the person who can just like pull up to a park bench with their laptop and
work.
Like, no, I mean, not for work, for like, the speech writing or a call, like just doing some whatever, but not for like the sale. I do sales. That's how I spend my time. I do sales and networking, and that's it.
Yep, exactly, man. I hear you. So, you're not headed to Manifest, right? Did you go last year?
I'm not going to Manifest.
Yeah, I'm bummed out about that one too. But so you're speaking of BCS. Is it going to be a form of your normal keynote, like a version of that, or are you trying something different? Or is it a surprise?
I talked about it a little bit today on the road to BCS, but I'm going to focus on. Obviously, I got to share my story. Out of the hundreds of people in the room, 10 of them might actually know who I am. So, I got to share my story. But there's only about 3 main points that I really want to focus on. And just as a highlight, it's about embracing purpose. The defying our limiting beliefs. But I really want to lean into the community and really about the relationships and how nobody does this alone, how everybody needs a wolf pack, everyone needs a tribe. And it was really just relationships that put me on that stage in the first place. So, and I know it's really about what the conference is all about, but I mean, that is one of the things that I've learned throughout my story is just that importance of community. So that's really what I want to ultimately drop the mic on is I want to fire people up to just kind of get past the surface and, really get to know each other. And like most of the time you got to understand, we actually do have a common goal here. Most of the noise is just noise.
Oh, 100%, man. And I've got to say as well, I know the public speaker thing's a big thing that you're going after and pursuing, but also the coaching you do. I do have to give you your flowers for that because, of course, I'm on a little hiatus right now, but I've used you for several months for coaching, and it's been completely worth it. And I've scheduled an impromptu trip to go see a buddy, and a lot of the stuff we talk about me wanting to do, and the goals you help me reverse engineer, which I always tell people if I had to pick a human to do it, it'd be you because A, I know you can do it. B, it's like, what'd you say, wildly simple and. No, what is it? I always forget it.
Wildly specific and stupidly simple.
Stupidly simple. Wildly specific.
You should feel ridiculous even writing it down.
Right. So I'm working at getting better at that. But just pursuing things and understanding that when I do them, my expectation doesn't have to be what the outcome is right now. It's just about the consistency. And funny enough, I've been seeing and hearing that everywhere. Like consistency, just be consistent, just be consistent. Have you ever tried being consistent? Like I'm talking everything from LinkedIn to not literally billboards, but like on a podcast, individual independent posts, reels. I heard it in a TV show, like watching something about Welcome to Wrexham.
This is going to sound dumb, but you know when I really learned it? This is why I say physical endurance training is mental endurance training. It was when I broke my rib in a Spartan race, and then 90 days later, I ran the Berlin Marathon. So the first couple of weeks were rough. I literally would tape myself up like but I had to abandon all other training. I had to quit any Spartan specific training. I couldn't do anything. But like I was like,
yeah, you cracked the rib.
You know, within a couple days, week and a half, I was able to at least kind of get into a flow. And then I didn't break the rib. I fractured the cartilage, which was extraordinarily painful, but I still like, and whatever. But I did nothing but follow the specific run training for that 90 days. And I saw it because from every Saturday was a fairly consistent run that just built up. And it wasn't my effort that changed because I run by heart rate. So there was nothing else but the consistency. And that's why I talk about there is just nothing more powerful than a consistent effort. You know, they say the Grand Canyon was made by water.
Yep.
Right?
Over serious time. Yeah.
Well, that's the thing. It takes time. And that's where discipline comes in. And before that, people say like, oh, is it discipline or motivation? Well, if you don't have the motivation to start, you don't start in the first place. So you have to have a powerful why. But starting with a powerful why, consistency and discipline, there is just nothing more powerful in the world than that. And it goes back to even how you improve and why I'm constantly telling you to watch your own show so that you can.
which I do now because I am not making myself. I'm changing verbiage and mind frame here, something I actively do work on. But I'm choosing to actually spend the time and cut up my episodes, not just hope that the AI generated ones are decent, which they're usually not. And it does have me listen to my show, and you know, I have to keep telling myself it's at the very beginning. You know, there's some episodes I did a lot better in, some where I connected better with the guests, and that's just part of it, right? And there's some that I'm wicked proud of, or some like silly things, and I'm learning all sorts of stuff from it. But I am really applying to my life, and I think it's my health journey that allows me to do it at all. Is just realizing that has taken 3 years, and I'm still going. So like just the same thing with the podcast. Just do a little bit of something at least like every other day,
and then you realize the process is the same for anything.
And it's not even that bad. Like once I'm doing it, I'm like, I just do it until I get sick of listening to myself. And honestly, the last one I was cutting up, I only got 25 minutes in. And I already had like 4 good reels out of it, 5 good reels. So it's like, oh, just like, so yes, I'll still listen to the rest, but like, I still got the content I needed out of that episode.
This is kind of what I told myself when I went to go get my first like live speech, like last year. Number one, I just said, bring the fire. Nobody's going to complain about the guy who brings high energy. So whatever, fuck it. Bring the fire, drop mic, right? Yep. Number 2. And then I said, the first 10 are for you. Then they can be for other people. So in other words, if I suck, I suck. It's unfortunately not about my performance. It's these ones
do it.
Me to get better.
Yeah.
I mean, they're all there to get better, but I'm just like, that's what I would tell myself, that it's like, you know, you don't have to drop the mic on it. And I see the progression from one thing to another. And so again, it actually just gives me more confidence, because when I see time 1 to time 10, I'm like, well, shit, man, what is time 20 going to look like? Now I'm excited. Exactly. I don't have to rush. I'm just confident it's going to happen.
Yeah. And it's like, you know, and I constantly beat myself up for not doing enough, or whatever I feel in my brain that moment that enough is. But it's like I've realized and started just telling myself, and I'm a bit of a slow learner. Like I know, not slow as in like there, but like slow. Like I'm stubborn in change and new things. So it's like I know that I should be doing something. It just takes me a long time to do it. And so where I'm at with the work I'm putting in versus when I started, I'm like, okay, well that's a marked improvement. So I just have to celebrate that. And if it's up to me to decide to put in more work to take this to whatever the next step is.
I can do this, I can do that. And
right. So it's just making a choice. Right. It's making a choice.
I mean, that's why I think it was even important that's why I said, screw it, let's roll. I mean, like, why not?
Yeah.
Worst case, we had these guys pop on with us, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, that's it, man. What, John? Yeah, 100%.
There you
John.
go. Yep, you just got to do it all you got, exactly, and you can't. You just got to do it.
I told you I was, my videos that I put on my Instagram account, and when I was leaving a Spartan race in Miami or Boca like 2 years ago, and Lisa's like, "Oh, you're going to do your video," and I was like, oh, I was just so gassed. I was done with the heat, and I was like, let's just go. And then she's like, all right. And then I was like, you know what? Screw it. And I just handed her the phone and I hit record. I had no idea what I was going to say. And I just talked about my race real quick and how I had missed my goal because I had picked a placement goal, even though I had actually run a personal best. And I was like, so I'm going to choose to be proud about my achievement, even though I actually missed something that I said. Right.
Yeah.
So I just threw it up on Instagram real quick. We get in the car. We were spending the weekend down there. We drive about 40 minutes to go down to Fort Lauderdale or so. By the time we checked in our hotel, it had 40,000 views.
Wow.
And by the way, just for John who's watching, I think I only have about 1,300 followers. So that's a lot. Yeah. Spartan had reposted it. It went like bam, 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 bam. And it just like, so the very next day I wrote a video about sometimes it's just about getting the reps in.
Yeah, and you don't know what's going to hit. And maybe it was the one you didn't drop. Like, yeah, like how I ended up at Revanova, or a big reason is I think you had told me to reach out to the CEO over at Text Locate, Ryan Rogers. Like, hey, just talk to him. He's a good guy. I was like, all right. So I talked to him, and after our conversation, super nice dude, great product. It's going to be live in Revanova very soon. Thank God. But
he's doing cool stuff.
Oh, he's cool stuff. And people ask about it. So I'm like, yep, it's soon. But, you can't rush a product team. Anyways, shout out product team. You guys make great stuff. But after that, he no need, but he put up a really nice post about our conversation, obviously tagged me in it. And I'm not somebody who has been active on LinkedIn up until about a year ago. I'm creating a nice little persona for myself, I think. And it's not a persona, it's my online version of myself, and I'm enjoying it and still crafting. But the point is, he put the post out, and then that connected me with the recruiter who introduced me to Revanova, and here we are. So it's
funny too. Slap you into looking at it in the first place.
Yeah, and looking at Revanova. Well, you tried to bitch slap me into Freight Tech. Yeah, and I was looking into Freight Tech. I was talking to a bunch of other companies too. But what's funny too is like there were a couple companies that I really wanted to work at based on my interviews, and I just thought they were going really well. And one of them was hot at the time. Both I got ghosted by. Both I was really bummed out and shocked that I got ghosted by. And one of them even told me I knew a guy. We know a guy who was working there at the time, and he was like, of course, being a good buddy, like helped me through, like, hey, talk to this guy about this, or this is how this person is. And I was really excited about the opportunity. It wasn't bad money either. So I was like all bubbly, like on all the calls, like very excited version of myself, but still very much me. And he found out for me that the reason I wasn't hired because they didn't think I was genuine. I was like, wow. So I
remember you telling me that.
Yeah. So I was pretty bummed about that one.
Nothing if.
Right. Exactly. It's like I'm horrible at being not myself. It's just so uncomfortable for me. And I know that it's true because there's plenty of people who think I'm a numbnut, but that's changed as I've matured a bit. But like I've definitely said some off-putting things, but yeah, just and it was just so funny to me. And I was like butthurt about it for a little bit, and then like 2 days after, I let myself be bummed out for like 2 days. But I was like, you know what, dude, you weren't ingenuine, so you're gonna get hired by the company that thinks you're genuine, and that's what happened. And I'm totally the knucklehead, upbeat self I am. And everybody's very accepting of me here. It's fantastic. Like Revenue is a great spot for me for a lot of reasons. And I play a part that I've wanted to at a company for a long time. And I just get to be my goofy self. They're very supportive of this. They didn't ask me any questions about what it'd be about, or like, oh, how is you going to represent this or that? It's like they just let me be me, and they trust me to do the right thing, whatever that is. But yeah, it's like, oh, and that's like, I know for a fact I would say a lot of different stuff if I didn't need to keep a corporate job. And that's not even anything bad. It's not anything bad or stuff that like would get me necessarily canceled. But it's like I would have so many more hot takes, and I'd just be my non-professional self. But being my professional self, you can still have there's enough runway to have
fun. What I find though, man, I think the barometer changes a little bit. I also think I don't know, for me, I loved being edgy.
Yeah, it's just fun. Like it's me, and I enjoy it.
My objectives have changed. I don't have to try that hard not to be anymore.
Right. You can. Right.
It's just not part of what I care that much about anymore. And if there is something that I want to cut up about, I'm gonna. And that's just the way that's going to be. But
yeah, it's not worth forcing it.
I figure there's just less that I'm like, and I had that phase though, right? Like I did. And it was a slightly different time it was also more of remember, I got about a decade on you. And so it was more of that sort of internet boom too, where, Twitter, shut up. And, so I don't know. I liked being that, dry wit douchebag, which I say douchebag because I would use it like a sword. I don't just mean like in sometimes, and it just judgmental, whatever. And what I realized though is just a lot of that. I just don't want to be negative anymore.
No,
Like,
absolutely.
And I'm not saying you can't be a wise ass, but I realized it was like, I was one of those guys who I had nothing to say that was so I complained about something.
Was absolutely how I was for a long time. Yeah, I mean, I loved to hear myself bitch and moan, and I still love it, but I've gotten better, and I don't like being negative either. Like, I have some serious burns I come up with that are like scathing, and they're not even like F this, F you, and like it's some pretty deep cuts, and I keep them to myself because I've never liked being that guy. I'm really not. But it's also like, it's just, what's it going to accomplish? The other person's probably immediately not going to like you if it's that good, or they know that you're capable of thinking that about them. And it's just your stupid ego talking anyway. So just like take a deep breath, and remove that thought from your mind and think about either how it could be positive, or just accept that maybe whatever that was pointed out a very obvious thing that's not thing or person that's not for you. So like, all right, move on.
Well, you just finished the main point, because it's one thing to keep a mouth shut, which that's where it starts. You're not going to just instantly have you not care about it. But, I am at the point where I actively distance myself from negative shit.
I've been doing that.
I mean, actively. So I really don't like it when I'm still a hothead. All right. I'm still wildly emotional. Still, like, there's no Buddha here.
Right.
But I'm just at a place where I can make more conscious decisions. And so, like there was that thing with that guy.
Yeah.
That irritated me, mostly because there was just nothing I could do. I just had to like sit there and take it.
And it's public. It's for everyone to see. Yeah, it's like,
and it was just it's just, and it was also wrong. So it was just sort of like frustrating, but there was I didn't want, who cares?
Yeah, like, who
I
cares?
don't want that negativity in me. I don't want the thoughts, because I have literally seen my heart rate jump up with just having negative thoughts. The physiological response is not worth it. And it's also not who I want to be anymore. I can't be the guy who helps other people avoid stupid ass confrontations to aspire to better shit if I'm getting into the weeds over knucklehead nonsense.
Yeah.
And, also I think about, I used to accomplish some amazing shit. All right. Like, big corporation tells me like, that can't be done. I'm like, oh, let's see. But it came at such a cost.
Yeah.
Because number one, I had to be just a bad person to other people, who, most of which, it's not their fault that they weren't empowered to do anything but say no. And to be honest, I would make myself feel better by doing it in the process, right? But the other thing too is it was exhausting. So
yeah, it takes
and then
so
you
much
just
time.
live that way. It's like you have to change first.
I think, yeah, I agree, and I've become much more calm since learning that. So I think that's a great lesson to wrap on. I think that's a good nugget of knowledge to leave all these wonderful two people with. John, you're the man for sticking around. Whoever was quiet in there listening.
I was going to say just one. I think Shimmy bounced. I think.
Yeah, Shimmy did bounce. So either way, so Nick, thank you so much for joining me tonight. To the two people listening, I really appreciate you for tuning into this special live episode for Ronnie and Todd. We're going to reschedule that. So, thanks for the support and tuning in. And I'm going to repost this thing on the next time we're supposed to drop anyway, because I don't have anything up until that point. So I'll reshare this. So that being said, check us out every other Tuesday at What's Domiciled on YouTube and Spotify for full episodes, and Instagram for the reels. Yes, I still stink at Instagram. Working at getting better on that. So like, comment, subscribe, and have a great day.